On July 25th, I made a video talking about kingdom marriages versus covenant marriages. And I spoke of how people who speak of kingdom marriages feel like it's okay to marry someone else's spouse, someone else's husband or wife, when God intended for a marriage to be for life. One husband, one wife for a lifetime until death. God said in Malachi 2:16 that he hates divorce. There is nowhere in the Bible where he is okay with adultery. Jesus even said if you divorce your wife, if you and you cause her to commit adultery. So I already went over all of that, which is why I am for covenant marriages, because I am for people's souls. We should not be selfish and looking at someone else's spouse. If there is a lot of red tape when it comes to you getting married to someone, that's God trying to tell you something. God will never send somebody else's husband or wife unless their spouse has passed away. Because God is not the author of confusion. And when people try to make it seem like God is okay with it, they're making God out to be a liar. And as we know in Numbers 23:19, that God is not a man that he should lie. We know in Malachi that it is written, he is the Lord and he changes not. He is not the author of confusion. He is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. People can mock me all they want, but at the end of the day, you know you wouldn't like it if it were you. You know you wouldn't like it if you were married to someone and you know the devil tests your marriage and maybe you wasn't experienced, maybe you and your spouse was not educated about what God expected out of a marriage, out of a covenant marriage. And so the devil used that as a way to try to come and destroy the marriage. I know there's people who wouldn't feel like they would want to be a part of being a pawn in the devil's game of destroying someone else's marriage. And that's something to think about. So fast forwarding what I'm saying pertaining to the story of Esther. Now, the person was talking about kingdom marriages, and they were speaking about Queen Vashti and Queen Esther. And the first thing they said was, well, the king chose Queen Esther over Queen Vashti when Queen Vashti was already out of the picture. Queen Vashti was in chapter 1 of Esther. And what happened was Queen Vashti was a wicked queen, as far as like she didn't like the Jews. And so God got rid of her anyway, as far as like allowing circumstances to happen so that his people could be protected. Because if she was still there and when Haman came up with a plot to harm the Jews, she would have been okay with it. And she was, the queen. Okay. So God did what he had to do. All right. But he do things in a way that is holy and that is righteous. Adultery is not holy nor righteous. Okay. So the king had this huge festival, and it was many people invited. It was him and his noblemen enjoying themselves, and they summoned Queen Vashti to come before him and the nobleman with just her crown on, no clothes. So she said no, and this angered the king. So the nobleman said, you have to do something about Queen Vashti because our wives look up to her. And if they see that she is getting away with disrespecting you, they're going to do that to us. Now, the king was enraged and he was drinking. There was a festival. Everybody was being merry and happy. So, the nobleman was telling him it's best to find another queen because he was very, very enraged. And they came up with that idea once he calmed down after he killed Queen Vashti. And I'm going to tell you how that happened. So, Esther lived with Mordecai, her uncle. And, she, with other young virgins, were sent to the king to see which one he liked. And obviously, in chapter 2 of Esther, Esther was very favored. She was just a wonderful woman, okay, young lady. And so the king fell in love with her. Fast forwarding, Haman and Mordecai got into an altercation, and Haman came up with this idea that he was going to take out all the Jews, right? So Mordecai was in front of the palace, and he was just all falling apart, and he was just upset. And so, people were going back talking to him to find out what happened, and he sent a message back to, Esther, because Esther was the queen. And so Esther sent clothes to try to get him to pull himself together. He refused to close. And so he told her, because she sent a message back to him, that she hadn't seen the king in a while and that he hadn't summoned her. And that if a person goes before the king without being summoned, they will be put to death. So what do you think happened to Queen Vashti when she didn't listen to the king and she told him no and he was angry and had been drinking? Yeah, he killed her. So I'm going to need for people to stop making it seem like adultery is okay. I'm going to need for people to stop making it seem like God going to give you somebody else's spouse, because it's okay to feel like that's okay until that happens to you. Okay, so the question I would have to ask people who push for these kingdom marriages and other people's husband or wives, when is it okay to stand for a marriage? Why is it that people feel like it's okay to just dump and run? This is the reason why people are married 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times. That's not okay, because God meant for it to be only one time.